The dark has its own language, and the Metro had taught Sergei to understand it. It was a grammar of silences, the shallow, waiting quiet of a predator in the vents, the deep, hollow resonance of a long-dead station, the fragile, precious stillness of a safe room. Out here, silence was never peace, it was a warning. In VDNKH station, his lantern flickered, casting nervous shadows across rusted bulkheads. It was a weak, guttering bastion against the consuming blackness of the tunnels. Rats, sleek and fat on decay, scattered from his path, their tiny claws ticking against the concrete. The air was a thick cocktail of damp rot, ozone, and the ever-present metallic tang of rust. A crackle of static broke the quiet, followed by a soft, almost melodic chime from the radio on his hip. Echo 4, confirm route to Alekseevskaya. Resupply run. Avoid surface mutant sightings frequent. Sergei pressed the receiver, the action ingrained. Copy that. Departing now. Keep the lights warm. His voice was a gravelly thing, worn down by filtered air and disuse. He took a final moment, tightening the straps of his gas mask until the rubber seal bit into his skin. He slung the familiar weight of his battered VSK-94 sniper rifle over his shoulder, its cold metal a grim comfort. With a last glance at the fading safety of the station's glow, he stepped into the tunnel mouth. The darkness swallowed him whole. The journey was a pilgrimage through a graveyard. His boot kicked a stray shell casing, the clink echoed with obscene loudness down the cavernous passage. He froze, his heart a frantic drum against his ribs. The echo died, replaced by a new sound. A soft skittering. Not rats. This was lighter, more deliberate. Always watchers in the dark, he breathed, the words muffled by his mask. He lowered himself to one knee, his gloved hand brushing against the grit. Peering around a collapsed bulkhead, he saw it a flash of something pale and limber, slipping behind a shattered rail junction with unnatural grace. It was gone before he could even raise his rifle. The scratching ceased, leaving a silence more threatening than before. He took a detour, squeezing into a forgotten maintenance tunnel. The atmosphere changed, becoming oppressively close and moist. The air grew thick with the smell of rust and something else, something organic and foul. You smell the rot before you see it, he thought, a line from the old stalker's mantra echoing in his head. Old world dying, one corpse at a time. His torch beam confirmed it, illuminating a torn Metro worker's uniform slumped against a pipe. The fabric was stiff with blood long dried to a dark crust, the body within picked clean to bone. He turned. Too late. With a shriek of tortured metal, the ceiling above him buckled and gave way. A mass of pale flesh and oversized limbs crashed down a lurker, its former mockery of the human shape it had once worn. Its eyes were black pools of pure predation. It lunged. Sergei rolled, the movement pure instinct. He brought the VSK up and fired. The gunshot was deafening, the muzzle flash a momentary sun in the oppressive dark. The creature shrieked, but a second one, drawn by the noise, scrambled from a side passage, its teeth like chipped knives. He fired again. The second creature slumped, its limbs twitching. But the first was on him, claws slashing. White-hot pain seared across his thigh. "Come on, you freak," he snarled, driving his bayonet into its torso. He twisted and shoved the convulsing thing off him. His leg screamed in protest, blood already soaking through his trousers. He didn't wait. Limping heavily, he he fled deeper into the labyrinth of side tunnels, the sounds of his own ragged breath and frantic footsteps his only companions. Hours later, he found refuge in a utility shaft near Alekseevskaya. He barricaded the rusted grate behind him and finally allowed himself to tend to the wound. In the faint light of a small, crackling fire made from broken crate wood, he cleaned and bandaged the gash on his leg. He ate a cold can of beans, the taste of tin and salt a mundane luxury. His radio, propped on a pipe, sputtered a barely audible transmission. Mutant nest near ventilation duct, avoid sector 3. He looked up at the wall. A faded, cracked map of the old metro system was painted there, a relic of a world that no longer was. He took a shard of charcoal from his pack and circled Alekseevskaya. Next to it, someone else had already scrawled the two options that defined their existence: salvation or bones. He leaned his head back against the cold concrete. "Guess I'll find out," he muttered to the empty room. By the time he reached the heavy, rusted gates of Alekseevskaya, a change in the stale air hinted at dawn on the surface above. Two hollow-eyed guards emerged from their post, rifles held at a cautious ready. Another ghost, crawling back from the dark, one of them called out, his voice flat with exhaustion. Sergei pulled his mask down, revealing a face smeared with ash, sweat, and dried blood. He managed a pained smirk. "Ghosts don't bleed this much." They waved him through. Inside, the station was a pocket of struggling civilization. The heat from a scrap metal furnace felt like a miracle. He moved through the thrum of low voices, past traders haggling over stale bread and filtered water, to the supply room. He collected his payment: ammunition, iodine tablets, a fresh filter for his mask. He stowed it all in his rucksack with practiced efficiency. The journey was over, but the respite was temporary. Beyond the cracked metro doors lay the next leg, the next stretch of dark. The next morning, driven by a need to see the sky, however poisoned, he climbed to the surface. He stood at the edge of the ruins, the grey, snow-coated skeleton of old Moscow stretching before him. The wind howled through the skeletal remains of buildings, carrying the bite of radiation and the echoes of a world that had died screaming. But as he looked out over the vast, silent expanse of ash and snow, a thought, fragile but persistent, took root. The world had died screaming. But beneath the ash, maybe something still breathed. A distant, unnatural howl cut through the wind. Sergei didn't hesitate. He turned his back on the dead city and descended, once again, into the waiting dark. The metro never let anyone go for long,